Please join me, stand and remove your hats and join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It was better last time.
Yeah.
Oh, with all the kids.
With the girls. Yeah. Yeah, we had the 8U softball team that was leading the pledge last time. It was awesome. So, well, welcome everybody. I am not quite Mark tonight, so Mark is absent tonight. So, all right. Do we have the minutes for the July 1st regular council meeting? Anybody see any changes? If not, motion to approve those will be in order.
I'll make that motion.
You got a second. I wasn't here. Mike, second.
I'll second.
Motion from Robin, second from,
Mike,
you did not
right?
second? Okay,
Yeah.
so, all right, so second from Mike. Any other discussion? If not hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, those meetings are approved. Changes to the agenda. We have the agenda right in front of us here. If there's any changes, if not, motion to approve that would be in order.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Agenda's approved. Guest and open forum. We have up to 5 speakers, allowed for 3 minutes each. Do we have anybody here for guest and open forum? All right. We'll move on then. Committee reports, Public Works.
Sure. Public Works, we met last week. We went over a couple things. There's been some requests for some speed studies to take place, and that just kind of started the conversation of us getting an actual protocol in place to just justify where these speed studies should be, like if it's worth it kind of thing. We talked about, you know, how we kind of mentioned the recycle day, like, do we want to keep it on a weekend? Do we want it to be on the weekday? And we decided that since Scott kind of wanted it to be during the weekday, and since he's been so gracious to us, we should, you know, we have no problem if that's what he wants to look at, but it'd be more like a Thursday night, like 5 to 8, just to give people enough time to go. But that is not in place yet, but we were just kind of talking about that. We also have an HVAC, it's gonna be 8C on the agenda tonight. Also just wanted to give a heads up, because I know a lot of people have been trying to figure out, Central is getting started, hopefully, weather depending, on the 28th. So, I don't know what we're gonna do without that road. So yeah, hopefully that'll get done.
2-wheel drive vehicles will actually be able to use it again.
Right?
It's-
Love
Won't have to worry about speeders.
Yeah. All right. All right, anything else? Public Works? Alrighty. Thank you, Becky. Personnel Committee.
That's me too. Okay, personnel, we just met last Friday. We just kind of talked briefly a couple things, and we've started the discussion with the police sergeant, getting in place and just what that'll all entail and where we're at, just, and we'll have that all figured out come budget time to see what we're gonna do with that for 2026. And we just went over some legislative updates at the end there, and that was about it.
All right. And EDA?
EDA met last night. We had a conversation about the land exchange proposal. That's 8B on our agenda tonight. Other than that, our monthly housing market update. About 2 months inventory on the market right now, which is a little better than it has been.
Did EDA support the 8B proposal for tonight?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you, Robin. Any other committee reports we missed? All right, hearing none, we will move on to item number 8A, the SLA with SEH for Edgewood Street improvements. Mr. Phil Knutson.
You weren't supposed to use the shortened version, so I had time to get up here. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Sorry, Acting Mayor and Council. In front of you tonight, we have the supplemental letter agreement with SEH for the Edgewood Street improvements, as Rick had mentioned. What we're trying to do, Edgewood will be our first MSAS street since we've acquired the status of the state aid. We're likely to go there. We're working on engineering right now to put this together. So tonight, we're coming to you because the scope of work is always outside the master agreement, so we need to work through the supplemental letter. In doing so, we would try and put the scope in place. With MSAS, there's different standards for the street design. So we need to look at those and understand what that profile of the street could be like. The road grade itself may have to change, the shouldering could change, and the whole time we gotta thread the needle with the trail over there because the excessive use of the trail. So we're thinking this is going to be an MSAS street. It may not, if those protocols get too tight, or too restrictive and the cost goes up, if we've got to do curb and gutter over there, retained storm, water, stuff like that. So there's a lot to go with it, but what we're trying to do is get in front of it because the street regardless is gonna be pretty expensive. The budget that we have, or the balances that we've collected already, this is the second year of us receiving those dollars. They're allocated to us, but held at the state. It's a reimbursement situation. Anticipating we'll get a similar amount next year. 351, I believe, is the number that we received this year. $351,000. We can borrow into that fund. We had a meeting yesterday as kind of how that works and what's going on with that. But in order to do that, we have to have the scope of the project identified and some construction estimates in place because that has to be done before November 30th, I believe, is the time. It's in November this year, but I believe it's by the end of November. So that's why we're coming here kind of a little bit ahead of this thing. This is anticipated to be a 2026 project. Our goal is to design the entirety of the street from CSAH 23 all the way to Highway 10. We may or may not take on that whole project. It may be broken down depending what the costs are, and again, what that profile comes with. So tonight, we're just trying to get there. In all likelihood, we've got some money in the street CIP. Our current spend for this year is under what the budget is there. So we could expend those funds this way and not seek reimbursement, so then we're not obligated to use the MSAS dollars. So it kind of gives us some room to pivot if we need to. So both Mark and Lori will have been and will continue to be heavily involved as we relate with MSAS, as is Greg, and Bryce Johnson with SEH is here. Randy Sabart is involved with that as well. So we're kind of taking baby steps because this is brand new to us, but we know that this is the launch point for us to get started on this. And we could pivot a couple of times throughout the project, but we need to get it started so we know what we're up against as we go in there. It's one of the highest traveled roads in our community, and it needs some work. So. And with that, I can stand for any questions. Otherwise, looking for movement on resolution 2555.
You're concerned about the cost of the street. It is a heavily used street. If we're gonna build a street that's got guidelines from the federal government, wouldn't it make sense that that's one that we do it with?
Yes.
But where else would we do it? Use that, where else would we use those funds?
So the roads designated under MSAS are Hancock Street, let's see, First Street, Bradley. So we do have other options as well.
Okay.
So we could so that's what we'll do. We'll play with our CIP to say some of those roads are coming in queue, and we could look to grab those first through MSAS and not borrow into it. And then use our
I
CIP
think
for some of
Hancock
that.
would be the only one that's available at this point, isn't it?
First Street from Gardner to Bradley is getting a little tired.
yeah.
We're looking to rejuvenate that a little bit through some a life extension there. But yeah, the good thing is if we borrow into this and if we can work, Mark has done some research with other communities close by that have done this. We're not sure if they'll commit to the 5-year borrow into, and it's a no-cost loan from the state. So if we can do that, we're all in favor of doing that, even if the price tag is high. So we basically, for future years allocations, they just take it back, because we're already spending it. They borrowed it to us. So we do have some options there, but like I said, getting it started is what we're looking for tonight to get the engineering work doing, and we can cover this without that, so we keep those options open.
So when we say borrow into, I mean, so let's just say there's $500,000 sitting in our kitty at the state, and we submit a $1 million bill. they pay the whole 1 million, or is this like a strict reimbursement? We just know that in future years, we're gonna get that money back.
They've extended 5 years, I believe, on the most recent project that we looked at. And so they'll cover that, and then they won't give us that. And it's a rolling 5 years is what we understood it to be. So if you borrow more than that and it exceeds the 5-year borrow, you get a year or two into it, they could extend that again to give you that rolling 5 to capture the total of the amount.
Okay, so we don't, okay, cause I was thinking it was even gonna be a covered, like, we'd have to pay for the whole thing up front, and then they would just say, well, we promise to pay you over the next 5 years.
Typically, it's a
Wow,
reimbursement position going into it, but again, as we go there, we have to get this work done, so if we want to borrow into it, we can make that request through the state and get Randy's working on some details as well with the District 3 and state engineer, and we're working on some other, Monticello's a community that's done this recently, and Mark has a connection with the finance director there. So, Mark, do you want to add anything to what we're talking about?
It's a great question, Rick. So think of it as currently with the 2 allocations, there's a report, a state aid report that's out on the website that shows what we have receivable. So they have allotted the 350 and then like the 358. So there's around 700,000 that's there and available. So we have it recorded as a receivable on our book. So as we incur costs, we can request that for reimbursement. On the flip side, they'll look at our annual, so our most recent around 350,000. If there's enough money in the pot, we can request like, okay, the 350 times 5 for those 5 future years, they'll pay that to us and then they'll just record, it'll just be a payable on our side. So we'll owe them that money, and then each year as it's allotted, they'll just apply it against that loan that we have with them at 0% interest. So
0% interest.
so that's where, and with the way Phil mentioned, if you did have a really big project, so you get the first 5 years, if you, a couple years into it, you could say, well, actually, we need a little bit more. So you could request, another couple years within that 5-year window. We're looking at it, let's look at, kind of our funding buckets. Where does MSAS fit into that bucket? And then where can we use our reserves to fill the rest? And then we do have those other opportunities within the community where we can use some, outside of that 5-year maybe request. We can use some of those funds. But nothing's, as Phil mentioned, nothing's guaranteed. It's really what we put in the request. If there's enough in the bucket to allow for that, that upfront cash, if there's a bunch of other communities that are also requesting, that's where they could say, well, you requested 5, but we'll give you 3 right now because there's a bunch of other communities that are also dipping into that bucket on the front end. So that's where the variable comes in.
Okay. And then you mentioned there was different, street standards maybe than we are, so Edgewood might be kind of an outlier because it doesn't have curb and gutter, doesn't have but most of our other streets, they have curb and gutter, they have sand. Is there, say on a non-Edgewood, let's not maybe use that as an example, do we see any restrictions in the future, say for other streets that already have curb and gutter and have the storm sewer underneath them, that would be so encumbersome we wouldn't want to even pursue this?
They would apply to that, but because there's curb and gutter and their boundaries there, and the speed limit usually brings those design standards a little bit more in check. If you've got the speed study out there, 97th Street is a perfect example. With the curves that were out there and keeping that a 30-mile-an-hour street, we needed to do that to make that work. So the fog line, you've got I think 4 feet on the outside of the fog line for a paved shoulder, and then a 2-foot gravel shoulder. Those met the standard criteria. So if you pull it down to a 30-mile-an-hour and you've got the curb lines in place, will be adequate. But on some of those other streets, Hancock has curb and gutter, 3rd Street does not. Bradley, some of it does, some of it does not. First Street, some of it does, some of it does not. So we'll blend those standards where you got, and we'll kind of play with the design factor on what we want to do or where we want to allocate the funds. The good thing with the Edgewood side of it, the trail can be rolled into this project as well. And that trail, as we all know, was built in the bottom of a ditch. So the design is very, very poor, and it needs to be elevated. So if we could tack it all at one time, it's gonna elevate the cost of the project. But by doing that as well, if we can leverage that, it also frees up some of our park funds to kind of disperse that out a little bit too, which you'll see in the work session tonight with the park CIP.
Have we talked with the county at all about possibly going in with them on any of that, see if we can get a contractor to do both? Some economies of scale there when they do Sherburne?
We've talked about that, but we've not pursued that. We would work in conjunction with them as
Yeah.
it comes to the intersection. But I think the control standards, we would prefer to run the project ourselves.
Okay,
Did I say that appropriately?
I got it.
We have a great relationship, but we like to do what we do and they like to do what they do, and we work well together doing it. So,
All right.
and the size of this project is enough where we're gonna get favorable bids again coming in. And not to say that we're doing a great job, but we've done good work over the last several years where contractors want to continue to come to Becker and work. So, you should be proud of yourselves for doing that too, because we do what we say we're gonna do, and we pay our bills on time, so they like working in the community. And shout out to finance, because this is getting really complicated, that's how you tie this whole thing together, so they're helping out with all of this as well, so I really appreciate that.
Right on. All righty, any other questions for Mr. Knutson? If not, we have, resolution 2555 before us. How does council wish to act?
I make a motion to adopt resolution 2555, approving an SLA with SCH for Edgewood Street.
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Robin, second from Mike. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Alrighty, next we have the industrial property land exchange and plat proposal. Mr. Jacob Sanders.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I'm glad Phil clarified that before I got up, because I would have said the same thing he did. Council, we have tonight before you two resolutions. One is for a land exchange and a right of entry. The other would be for a plat. So if you recall, at the last meeting, there on the consent agenda, the appraisals for the city-owned industrial properties were completed by Patch and Mesner. And for the public, months back, there were multiple parties interested in some city-owned property. There was only one proposal given. As a result of that proposal, it really wasn't favorable financially for the city. It would have taken a lot of money and time to make that work. One of the individuals that's still interested in the property is Mr. Potter, so Todd Potter from Todd Potter Trucking. We had talked to EDA about this previously, about working with him on potential land exchange, because he had offered to exchange property, some of his own, with city-owned. And based on that discussion with EDA, we talked with Mr. Potter about this and negotiated. And the land exchange itself would be for roughly 18.5 acres of Mr. Potter's property and for 16.5 acres of the city-owned. And in the RCA, you can see the concept that's kind of shown there. The highlighted area in orange would be what Mr. Potter would get. And the lot number 5 in red would be what the city would receive. And these are rough kind of conceptual layouts. And this would equate the difference between the appraised values. So the appraised values, $1.54 was for served property. So the two kind of skinny ones on the north side, adjacent to 132nd Street, those ones were appraised at $1.54. That 13 acre, which is the long one, that's the kind of the square portion on the southern end of that orange rectangle, that one appraised at $1.34. So to equate the difference between the served and unserved, it's a couple more acres needed from Mr. Potter to make up that difference. Also, if you recall, there were assessments on the properties that are adjacent to 132nd Street. Those were paid off previously with the proceeds from the sale of Country Lumber. The other part of this is that to complete this, a plat would need to be done, and there's some drainage utility easements that would need to be vacated. As part of that, we did get a quote and talk to Todd about what he would want to see on his property. The quote to plat would be $9,950, and you can see that quote in Exhibit A of the resolution. The plat would result in, you see these 5 different lots. One would be a very large, it's actually underlined that orange rectangle there. Lot number 2 would become one big one. There is a current outlot there that was reserved partly for a road. That would be given to Mr. Potter, and you see the outlot in green in that exhibit that would become 66 feet of what would be reserved for future right-of-way. Additionally, easement would be requested. So because we're requesting additional outlot and easement from Mr. Potter as part of this plat and process, we would recommend paying for the plat itself. It does benefit the city, but we're also requesting additional land from him to reserve for right-of-way purposes. EDA, to Councilwoman Dingman's point, they did approve of this. They did motion to approve the land exchange. Should council approve the resolution 2552 for the land exchange, it would allow the attorney to draft and execute a PA or land exchange agreement and any other agreements necessary to effectuate this. Typically, we bring a PA before council. In this circumstance, we weren't sure where EDA would end up on this and didn't want to draft 2 purchase agreements to come before and waste the funds. So with that, we're seeking a motion and a second approving resolution 2552, which would authorize the land exchange of city-owned property, and it would authorize the right of entry. So Todd is pretty antsy to get going on this. He has submitted a grading permit for probably about 50 acres of land to grade out. So what would end up being on a portion of these 2 properties is about 100,000 square foot building for warehouse, and then outside of that, there'd be some ancillary storage for equipment and other things. The right of entry would allow him to get into the property because the plat will take some time to get through. This would allow him to get in there to do work that he needs to. So with that, we're seeking that motion in a second, and then also a motion in a second which would adopt resolution 2553, which would approve the quote from Bogart Peterson and allow them to move forward with the platting work. The funds for that would actually come out of the EDA reserves for property improvements. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Alrighty, thank you, Jacob.
Yeah.
Any questions from council? Otherwise, as you heard, we have 2 resolutions, so we'll take those separately. So the first one being resolution 2552. Council, how do you wish to proceed?
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution 2552, authorizing the land exchange of city-owned industrial property for Potter Investments.
Second that.
Motion from Robin, second from Mike. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, and then we have resolution 2553.
Also make a motion to adopt resolution 2553, approving the proposal from Bogart Peterson to replat portions of lot 234, block 1, and outlot A of Energy Park 9th Edition.
I'll second.
All right, motion from Robin, second from Mike. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, that passes.
Thank you.
Alrighty, let's see, next one we got the wastewater treatment facility storage building office. We're gonna call that the A unit replacement.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Acting Mayor and City Council. Before you tonight, I have an RCA and Resolution 2554 for your consideration. The HVAC unit on the storage office building is original from 2003. Service life typically on a unit like this is right around 20 years. Currently, it is on its 22nd year. The decision was made to replace to avoid costly repairs as it has outlived its service life. Staff received 2 quotes for the replacement. They were included in the packet. This replacement was discussed with the Public Works Committee, and the committee approved for this to go to City Council for consideration. I am looking for a motion and a second approving Resolution 2554, approving the storage building and replacement for a price not to exceed of $24,200, which is the bid price plus 10%. With that, I will stand for any questions.
Is this your first time having a question?
Yeah, it is. Yes, it
Great.
is. A little sweaty. I ain't gonna lie.
Just for that, I got some questions for you.
All right.
do we have any idea why there was such a, difference in the?
Well,
in the bids?
I don't know, I guess that's why we always get two bids. We've used both of them in the past, and SCR, the lowest bid, they've done a lot of work for us and always done a great job, so I'm assuming the unit that they're bidding can definitely handle it, so.
Okay. Alrighty. Any questions for Troy? Nope. Alright, otherwise, council, how do we wish to proceed?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2554, replacing the A unit at the wastewater treatment facility storage building.
I'll second.
Alright, motion from Robin, we'll give that one to Becky. Second.
Thank you.
Hold on, wait, hold up. This is the most important part right
I
here.
know.
This is why you're here. This is. Alright, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
He's very confident we were all gonna say. I'm just kidding.
Alrighty. Next, we have administrator staff reports. Highway 1025 intersection study agreement with the DOT. Mr. LaRue.
City council members, in 2022, the city and the county completed a preliminary planning study of the Highway 1025 intersection with the firm SRF. And after that, what that really did was just kind of outline or develop some rough design options for that intersection. That was all that work was to do. Following that, the city applied or worked with our congressional offices, and we received a $3.8 million congressional appropriation to take it to the next step, which would be development of final plans and specifications. So taking it from where it is right now up to the point where plans and specs are complete for the project. It would not involve any construction, would just be developing plans and specs. And because the city's an MSAS city, the state aid office at the DOT would handle the funds. The funds don't come directly to the city, it would be a reimbursement. And so they submitted this agreement with the state aid office. The city attorneys reviewed the agreement, had no recommended changes. And staff would request that the city council adopt resolution 2550, approving the agreement with the state for this project. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
So, okay, so this, who does the work here for this then? I guess?
So right now, the city prepared an RFP for an engineering firm to take us all the way through the process. So we originally visited with Sherburne County. They typically did, for example, they did this very similar project in Zimmerman with County Road 4 and 169. County engineer said that they did not have the staff time to do this one, so it required us to go out and lead the effort to find a firm. So the RFP is out, they'll be back early August. We'll probably plan an interview with the firms and then come back September, October with an agreement with them to lead us all the way through. It'll probably take about a year.
Okay, so because we're being involved, we'll be involved with it then, so.
It's our project.
Okay,
Yep.
so I guess that was, if it was just gonna be MnDOT was just all of a sudden just gonna throw something at us and go,
No,
here
and
you go. but-
I think
okay,
it's very
that's-
clear too, there is no money at the end of this. So, once the plan is done, the next step is to find money or look for money to do the actual project.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, when this is done, we'll know approximately what it will cost at that point.
Yep.
Okay, and yeah, cause I know, years ago when we looked, this should have been before your time. When we looked at this, there was a couple concept plans or whatever, but so this would actually pick one and then, that's what we'd be asking this firm to do then, right? How do we, I guess, what does that process look like?
So there were seven, I believe seven, maybe even upwards of 10 options that the preliminary engineering plan developed.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was to go to the DOT for their selected option. They haven't selected one yet, so the
So
first one.
DOT selects it, we
It
don't
is
get
what they want to see, and so they will restart kind of that public process again, and kind of jumpstart it, select one fairly early in the planning process, and then work towards plans and specs for that option.
Okay,
Will we have any input on which
yeah.
one is, okay?
okay.
But it is ultimately their decision, cause it will
Right,
be
no, I
their.
understand that.
Right,
But there was, with all those designs that we had, I don't know if you've seen them, but
yep.
some of them didn't make a whole lot of sense, and some of them were really,
No, and
really expensive.
right, and you have to just examine everything, even though it doesn't make sense to say you've explored that option. Cause there's always the do nothing option too.
So is this well, like if I'm comparing this to the bridge when we talk about the Highway 25 bridge, the Monticello area bridge, and they're doing the Pell study and all that, and that seems and I don't know if that's because they're crossing a federal waterway, or, is this a shorter process than that typically?
Yes.
To get to the point where it's shovel ready, if you wanna
Yes.
say?
Yes.
Okay. That's good, cause that's been years.
It's a long process.
So, okay. All right, so then the motion here then is to sign the ask here is to sign an agreement with the state of Minnesota to administer the congressional appropriation then.
Yeah, it's adopt resolution 25-50.
Okay. Alrighty, so that is the resolution that is before us. Council, how do you wish to proceed?
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2550.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for resolution 2550. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Consent agenda. That'll be Mr. Lurd as well.
City council members, on tonight's consent agenda, items include approving the revised hiring and termination report, adopt resolution 25-51, approving the data practices policy, approve a new massage establishment business license for Zen Life Massage LLC, approve change order number 9 for the Police Department City Hall renovation project in the amount of $16,564.07, and approve partial pay request number 12 in the amount of $102,057.54 to Apex Construction Group for the City Hall Police Department project. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
And the new massage, but she's been there, but that's just because she's changing location.
New
so-
location, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Alright. The consent
Make a
agenda.
motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
We have a motion from Mike, second from Robin on the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all's in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Alright, consent agenda passes. Payment of the bills.
Motion, we pay the bills?
I will second.
Motion from Becky, second from Robin to pay the bills. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Alright, well, it's not on the agenda here, but the anniversaries. Here we go. This is why you don't wanna be mayor for a day.
Let's get the names right.
Alright.
You got this.
Oh, my mic's not working, sorry. All right, no, but we, thankful for the, employees and their time here, so, here for anniversaries in the month, we have, Josh Kua has 7 years. Mr. Troy is willing here, got 4 years here, had to come and present on his anniversary here. And then, for our part-time employees, we have quite a few. We're gonna say, okay, we got, for our part-time anniversaries here, we have Jamie Langley, 7 years, Cadence Cox, 5 years, Lily Keenan, 5 years, Eli Schneiderman, 5 years, Delaney Varney, 5 years, Lenine Duke, 4 years, Braden Granning, 4 years, Natasha Grimley, 4 years, Amelia Hansen, 4 years, Macy Spear, 4 years, Piper Huey, we're gonna say, 2 years, Joseph Klesk, 2 years, Colin Annenson, 1 year, Mark Dundry, 1 year, Meadow Gay, 1 year, Cynthia Marholz, 1 year, Olivia McNulty, 1 year, Jack Morrison, 1 year, and Brandon Ullman, 1 year, and Taylor Weisman, 1 year. And if I butchered your name, I apologize. But alrighty, anything else on the agenda here? Otherwise, we look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion adjourned, has been made, non-debatable. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed. We are adjourned at 5:34. Exec session will start shortly.
I don't even know where it is anymore.
What?
Recycling.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I'll take it, I'll find it.
I've got a bunch too, but
I know, but like literally, well, that was just even. I'm like, oh, it's still over there.
Right where it used
I
to
know,
be.
but it's just so.
yeah.
This part didn't change.
I'm not even sure how to get out. Well, I parked in back tonight, but
You can go right out this door.
yeah,
Yeah, except that's not what's
I
on my
couldn't park in
screen.
front.
I got there just before the rig pulled up. I parked and all of a sudden I see him do it. I look in the truck and I see him kind of doing this. And I'm like, are you trying to get up here? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm
What we're gonna do is we're gonna go display settings. Duplicates.
Followed Chris, so I got the door opened.
Changes. So now you should be.
Thanks.
It would have taken me a while.
I'm gonna turn on our monitors.
We getting back on that train,
Which train?
And,
budget
yep,
train?
we sure
Oh,
are.
yeah, this is the,
Welcome to almost our favorite week of the year.
But the bright side, it's just a CIP to me.
Right?
same, budget and finance. We meet the third Thursday, 5 o'clock.
Right there.
I know you're there. Just letting everybody else know the meeting. I mean, you could have this experience year round. I mean,
When is the Monday night meeting? Is that next week?
Yeah,
all the joint,
the joint.
after
So
fire.
we have this meeting and then we go to the
Yeah,
joint
but
fire.
we have Park and Rec.
Yeah,
So what time are we meeting here?
that's what we have.
So we'll
6 to
have
7:30.
7:30.
Yeah,
That is just one fun
Are we gonna have
night.
snacks?
that's what we got. We got fireboard at 5:30 here at 6 and then fire joint at
I'll
8.
bring snacks. What do you guys want?
Brisket.
I'm not bringing brisket and brandy.
I'm kind of, I don't wanna say brisketed out, but I just got back from Texas, so I've had barbecue
I've had a lot of meat.
3 or 4 times in the last week here, so I'm kind
Good
of
lord.
had my fill.
Get this man a salad.
Do you ever, doctor, ever check your cholesterol?
I don't need as much as you would think.
I can only have red meat twice a week, and
Really?
I probably don't eat that either.
You don't eat as much as you think you do. I mean, really.
Yeah,
But yeah.
well, if it's really good, I do.
Well, yeah.
And that's the worst.
Red meat?
Lunch meat is the worst.
Oh, I don't eat that.
Typically don't eat lunch meat either.
No.
Alrighty, are we, ready to go?
Need a roll.
Alright, do we need him for anything? No technical? Okay, alright. Alright, Litterbuck, we have the executive session, we'll call it to order at 5:38. And Ms. Lori, take it away.
All right, so this is our first 2026 budget session. Tonight, we're going to cover a significant portion of the 2026 CIP spend profile. As you may recall, we prepare a multi-year estimate in a fair amount of detail for capital projects. The spend profile is not necessarily a one-to-one match to the levy request for any given year. We do make an effort to avoid those significant levy swings that would just be based on spend. And so, we utilize an average of the CIP over time and then work towards incorporating that into more of a lazy river, if you want to go with that term. I know Phil loves that term, for how we levy for CIP. So tonight, we're gonna start, with police. Then we're gonna cover Public Works, Parks, BCC, Admin, and IT. And then we will have an additional CIP session on August 19th with the council meeting on that evening. And then at that point, we'll cover any updates to the ones we cover tonight, if anything changes between now and then, as well as looking at Pebble Creek and streets. And so, those two are still, in progress and, will not come forward tonight. And then as another reminder, the next budget session, will be July 21st, which is next Monday. That will be a special session for the council, and it will be 6 to 7:30. So I know there's a lot of council activities that evening. There's a park and rec meeting, and then this meeting here for special session, as well as the joint fire board meeting at 8 p.m. to look at the fire budget that evening, so.
About the regular fire board meeting too, or?
And the regular fire board meeting is that evening as well. So it's gonna be a busy night. I know we chose that intentionally so that we wouldn't have to schedule a special session on an additional night. So, we'll have a lot to go through on those nights, and getting through our stuff tonight will help us just kinda move toward the goal of having reviewed all of our budget items for next year. So with that, we're gonna start with police. It is on the screen, but I did, give council printouts of what we're gonna review tonight, cause I know it gets small. Tiny print. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the chief.
Thank you. They offered to have me go second or third since it's my first time doing this, but we were supposed to have laser tag tonight, which has subsequently been canceled. So I'm bummed about that, but happy to be able to present my capital improvement plan to you this evening. I'm very fortunate that our capital improvement plan isn't nearly as robust as some of the other departments for the city. A couple areas that I just wanted to highlight for your attention would just be some small changes that we made after reviewing our primary CIP, which is going to be the squad cars that we replace every 4 years. In 2024, our squad car cost was $69,000, and our 2025 cost this year is right around 70 again. That's due to a few factors, primarily Ford increasing their costs, and then a body style change in the cars, which then results in the equipment not fitting in us. Instead of being able to replace equipment and just carry to the next car, of course, they no longer fit, and you have to renew with new equipment. So unfortunate part about that is I don't really have any control over that. It is what it is. So you'll see on the CIP that starting in 2026, the budgeted cost for our squad cars was a bump to 65,000 from 57. And then there is a slight adjustment once you get out in 2029, just any escalation that there's likely to be at that time.
So if our cost last year was 69, just under 70, what makes you think, or what are you seeing that's gonna, think it's gonna be 5,000 cheaper, I guess?
Yeah, so this year and last year's car needed a lot more equipment. We should be able to retain the push bumpers. We should be able to retain the cages that go between. So there's areas there. This squad this year was ended up needing a new radar. So that's $3,500 right there. So I think we'll be okay in that sense for next year. And moving forward to, the hope is that right now the last few cars we've built have ended up needing that new equipment. A lot of that new equipment has 8 to 10 year warranties on it. So the hope is that barring any major change by Ford with the design of the car, once we get back to our model years that we've upgraded, that we should be able to go a second 4-year life cycle and retain as much of that equipment as possible. So that number would be potentially less here once we get to that point, is the hope. Obviously,
Cover the inflation piece of it, thus the numbers stay the same.
Sure,
Okay.
exactly, yep. So we assume there's gonna be some of that, but I also assume that our actual build costs will be better for those few years at least, until we get to that next 4-year cycle where we have to replace the equipment. So, the good thing is, this year for the 2025 CIP, as you can see down on the bottom, we did have some sale of some of our assets to absorb some of that cost. We sold Squad 917, which was the former chief car, the white one, to the driving academy, and then we just auctioned off Squad 919, which was replaced this past year. So we do have some revenue on that side to offset that chunk, which hopefully makes it more palatable. But yeah, that would be the biggest change that you'll see year over year on our capital improvement plan, was for the squad cars. The other item was we had a line item for the police department flooring refresh, which with the new facility, obviously, our hope is that won't be something that we need to carry on. So that was removed, and then, we just took a look a little bit at our interview room recording equipment. That is a big spend, but we did just upgrade that with the building remodel too. So you can see that got pushed out about 10 years. The primary reason for that is just hardware changes over that amount of time. As you all know, technology and things change. But we will have a service contract with our interview room company moving forward that whole time. So that should keep everything running smoothly. It'd just be more of a hardware update at that point in time.
So the service contract would only be for we would own the equipment, they would maintain it for us, they don't require that we use their equipment, or they,
Correct, yep, all equipment's our own, they maintain like all the software and everything like that, keep that up to date. So as long as we maintain our service contract with them, we shouldn't have any issues with the interview room, equipment beyond, like I said, about that 10 years, you're pushing it for that technology level, and we'll reassess at that time. And that's primarily, the changes that you'll see from, I guess, last year and kind of what we're looking at moving forward. Everything else remains the same from, years past on the CIP. Any questions for me?
looks pretty straightforward.
Okay. Well, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public Works.
Not gonna make Troy get up again, huh?
Oh, that would have been a good idea.
No. Maybe the water wastewater side, we'll give them a shot at it. So yeah, due to your time, I've got some notes, I'll go through them fairly quickly. If you have questions, let me know. Quick note as we go down, the 3318 Jacobson mower, we had a note in there in the past, I always said with blower. We've got plenty of other pieces of equipment that can move snow, so we don't feel the need to continue to do that. The one we have, we don't use as much as we should. So we remove that and will not include the blower with that when we replace it. Currently scheduled for 2027. 3476 tool cat replacement is due in 2026, so we replaced one this year, we'll replace the other one next year. We decreased the price a little bit. We had very favorable numbers as far as what our trade-in value is, so we adjusted that slightly. We're also looking to replace one of the utility carts. So we used to have the two Mahindras. We replaced one with a Can-Am utility cart. The other Mahindra is, well, both of them, they were both getting very, very tired. We're seeing some slippage in the gears and things so that's due to be replaced next year. So we have that item budgeted for 2026. So we've kind of discussed this the last couple of years. We've kind of always CIP, we had a criteria, $10,000 and more we list in the CIP, but in order to try to be a little more transparent, so you guys know kind of what we have for attachments for the toolcat / skid steers, we wanted to list them in the CIP. It would give you an idea of what we have, what the lifespan is of certain attachments, and kind of be a little more open, so we're not including the cost of attachments, maybe with a different piece of equipment, and or not, just on a personal side, easier to plan because I can see them laid out, that kind of thing. So we did include that this year, so you see a section there that's listed as toolcat skid steer attachments. So we've listed all the items that we have, what we'd expect the lifespan to be, what year they'd be due for replacement, and cost based on either current quotes we have, current replacement we have, or what it was when we replace it if it's a couple years old. Let's see. We also include 2026, we have $50,000 budgeted for stormwater infrastructure life extension. Basically, as the stormwater is collected in some of our ponds and areas, we see debris building up. Kind of the main one we have right now would be the pond where the Parkview Storm Station dumps into. We have a small island there now. So there's a lot of debris that comes off the streets into the station that gets pumped in that pond. So that will be a focus next year. We'll see how far we can make the $50,000 stretch. If there's any other structures that need to be cleared out, that kind of thing. And then the last item that we have for 2026 is the continuation of our improvements to the Public Works buildings over on that campus over by the Colbinger Park. I'm pretty sure, so next year we're looking at the skin on the building, And then, nope, that's next year. Parking lot and the curb, okay. I had them both listed, so. So we've kind of taken that in pieces just because of the total cost and planning for that in our CIP. As you can see, we have the addition that was, well, it's not quite completed yet, but we're getting there. And then next year, we'll take the next step with the pavement. If you go there, we don't have a lot left. It kind of keeps disappearing over time as we continue to drive in and out of the buildings. And then the last piece of that, which is listed for 2027, would be the interior remodel, where we'd do some moving around, move the admin desk to the north side of the building, kind of make that more of a public entrance to the building, separate that worker from some of the noise that goes on in the shop, and just do some rearrangements just to kind of make that area work a little better for staff. That's kind of the main things we have for 2026 and a few of the changes we made to the CIP. If there's any questions, I can answer those. Try to.
Nothing from me.
Okay.
Are you next? I don't know. Parks and Trails. Okay. Sorry. Sorry.
That's all right. All right, so parks for CIP 2026. So we have some moving parts, you know, as our kind of evaluating all of our assets as we go each year. Sometimes things change, usage change, those kinds of things. So first item I'll highlight is the Becker City Park equipment. We did move that replacement to 2029. That equipment is still in fairly good condition, and there's other park equipment in our system that needs to be addressed, either from potentially adding new equipment at a new park, which I'll talk about a little further down, or other parks that the equipment is showing more signs of wear than at Becker City Park. So push that out a little bit. We have a line item for Becker City Park Bridge Ponds Building. Over the last 5 years or so, we've done, you know, the building's got new shingles, new siding, there was interior work that was done, so the building's in pretty good shape right now, no major needs there. The bridge, we redid the decking on the bridge over the ponds in the front, or on the north side of the park, so that bridge is in pretty good shape. No needs there. The bridge that crosses from Nature's Edge Development into the backside of the park, or kind of on the east side, that is, is in also good shape. We did some landscaping around there probably 3 or 4 years ago. So no big needs. If there's small things that we need to do, we can tackle that out of the operations budget. The bridge, the small bridge from the development in, we redid all the wood on that a couple of years ago, so it's in good shape. So just push that out to 2030 as there's no immediate needs. Kind of move it out a little bit, consider it again in the future. We did adjust, so we've had a line item in here for putting concrete into the hockey rink at Colbinger Park. We, as a group, we've talked about this. We did increase the amount that we have budgeted for that. The idea being if we put concrete in there, one, it would make making ice, as winter comes, an easier process, but probably a higher priority would be, we've kind of always been looking for additional spots for pickleball courts. So you could fit 4 pickleball courts, 6? Up to 6, okay. I knew it was 4 for sure. But by doing that, then we could have kind of a double duty on that. So in summertime, you would, you know, you'd put your nets in and you could play pickleball there. And then in wintertime, we'd remove the nets and we'd flood it and have ice there. So we just kind of did a rough measurement.
Surface of that, because I know this, we had the issue with the surfaces over here. Would it just be concrete, or what would you do over the top to make it pickleball friendly?
We'd look to have the same surface that we have at the pickleball courts at the community park.
Does that come up then, and then it just goes down to the concrete, or you don't put ice over that, right?
Yep.
You tarp it and then ice it.
And then put your ice on top of that.
Okay.
And the tarp should work better there because we have boards to hold it. We tarped the free skate area last year, and it was much better for water usage, but the whole sheet moved a little bit when we were first making it.
Oh.
So once you had enough ice, it was fine, but at first it moved back and forth a little bit, so.
And that's only under consideration, we pushed it out there, that'll go be vetted through parking lot committee.
Mm-hmm, yep. So we moved it, yeah, yep. Make sure I got my notes, yep. Let's see, BAC playground equipment. So that was installed in 2003. Roughly, most of our equipment, we have a set life expectancy of 15 years, so we surpassed that a little bit with the BAC equipment. It was originally out to 2031. Because of, the usage on that equipment it's a well-used park. Between all the activities and then all the little ones that come with the older brothers and sisters at sports and things, it gets used a lot. It is showing some signs of age. It is a prime source for people with markers and or carving utensils to do work. So there are some things in there that we buff out here and there just to keep it safe for all the little kids. So we did move that up to 2028 just to accommodate that so it doesn't get away from us, and then we're kind of having a poor experience for the people that use that facility, given all that usage that occurs out there. Carly Johnson, we had some money set aside for turf irrigation. Turf at Carly is in pretty good shape. The irrigation, the idea would be to address the system. We do have some, look at the heads that need to be replaced and or some of the piping and some of the joints. So to try to minimize leaking that occurs, we do, it's Becker, so if you want to keep grass green, you got to water it pretty heavily. So the fear is a lot of the water goes from the joints down to the ground and not out on the grass where we need it. So staff are currently assessing that. They're estimating like the $15,000 to $20,000 to kind of redo that irrigation system there. So that would keep that up to date and in shape.
So that's not on the copy that we have online here. Look like Carly John, wait, is it, oh,
Yep, turf irrigation.
okay, I'm looking at the park equipment.
Yep.
If I go down a couple lines, it's there.
Yeah, it gets tougher. The older you get too, they just keep getting tighter and tighter. And like, which font?
Yeah, anything.
3-point font.
We'll have to request magnifying glasses next year when we
You get the fancy ruler with a little magnifier in it, it helps.
Good idea.
Let's see, next item, so trail life extension, so we have some money in there. The idea of this CAP item is to look at existing trails that we have and if there's surface treatments that we can do to those to kind of prolong the life, keep the experience when you use the trail in good shape. Our Bradley to Edgewood trail is one that's aging and could be addressed by this. The trail from Sherburne down to Rolling Ridge is another one that's aging, but they're still in good enough shape where we don't feel they need to be replaced yet. But if there's something we can do to kind of rejuvenate that surface and put a little oil back into it and get a few more years out of it, that would be our plan for our trail life extension. One item that we have is we actually have two, one on the street side, one for our park system, are the field painters, so the field paint sprayers. We did not have that listed in the past in our CIP. Staff did get a replacement cost estimate, and it's approximately $15,000 to replace that. So we did add it to the CIP. Obviously, we do, not so much in the winter, but in the summertime, we do a fair amount of painting out at the BAC between all the different fields that we have, soccer, lacrosse, baseball. So it's a fairly well-used piece of equipment. We expect a 10-year life cycle, so we did add that in on there. So we'll replace that piece of equipment in 2026. A couple of trail sections that we looked at. Trail, we call it trail number 6 or section 6. It's County Road 24 trail, the Sherburne to Rolling Ridge. We did move replacement of that from 2027 to 2029 with the idea that that is a candidate for a trail life extension. As we mentioned, with that $25,000 that was budgeted for that. And then we also did look at our pricing that we got from the trail replacement we did this year on Brenda and Joseph. And then we kind of applied that to the same length of this trail and adjusted that replacement cost down. So that's a little more accurate based on our current costs that we saw this year. Trail section number 8. So again, County Road 24, 122nd down to Opal. So the piece that kind of goes into the Elkwin division or development over there. We moved replacement on that from 2026 to 2029. Again, we could potentially look at a surface treatment, and overall, it's still in pretty good shape. We're not seeing the cracks and the division in the cracks that we saw on the trail on Brenda and Joseph, so it's holding up pretty good. So that would be, we'd look to move that out a few years. Let's see, our Toro Zero Turn mower, 3154. So we've pushed this out previously. We're gonna push it out again. We're just watching the hours on it and the condition of it. It's a diesel, which is kind of rare for a zero turn, but runs very well. It has very low hours. It's less than 1,000 hours right now. Talking with staff, $2,000 would seem like a reasonable number of hours before you look to replace it. And when we looked previously for what the trade-in value was, I think they offered us $1,500. So we wouldn't get much money for it. So at that point, given that it runs well, as we've taken some of the parks back from the contracted mowing, it is nice to couple that with other mowers, bigger mowers, and they can do the work together. So we look to just extend that out a couple years for now, potentially maybe 2 more years after, depending upon how many hours we get and the condition it remains in. So we move that from next year to 2028. And then with the new parkland that we acquired on the east side of the Elk River, we included money in there to add play equipment and a surround at that site. So we kind of added the number of $200,000. And we would plan to do that next year as we continue to develop that park out. I don't think we've officially named it yet. We just call it East Side Park at the moment, but we're still working on that with Park and Rec, so we'll figure that out. And then the last item that we have, so this is an addition. Becker Youth Baseball has been fairly aggressive over the last few years with things that they want to make improvements to at the BAC. So as staff, we've worked with them. We've talked to them about, you need to have a formal request. So we've kind of said each year maybe you can come to a Park and Rec committee and present what you guys, maybe projects you want to do out there. And if you can help pay for those projects, they're always received much better than if you're just asking the city to pay for them altogether. Timing hasn't worked out quite yet, so they're actually planning to be at the Park and Rec committee meeting next week to talk about this. But one project they highlighted that staff also discussed separately and feels like it would be a good project out there is the replacement of the 4 scoreboards on the baseball fields. They're there. One's gone now, but the other 3 are there. They don't work. To kind of enhance the experience for the players there, the fans that are there, they got a quote for replacement of all 4 scoreboards. The quote was roughly $40,000. Becker Youth Baseball in their proposal that they'll present to the Park and Recs Committee, so we're kind of getting a little bit in front of it here, but they would look to provide $25,000 of funding for that, and then they would ask the city to cover the remaining amount, so approximately $15,000. So
There was some electricity issues out there too. I believe there was, the power that was running to the existing ones was very inadequate, so that might be something to,
okay.
I remember that coming up in the previous discussions, so as we think about that, might make the price.
I know staff did get the specifications from the scoreboards that they had quoted, and they did run that by with a local electrician. So we did, and there didn't seem to be any concern at that time, so, but I'll keep that in mind, so.
The new ones that they're looking at, they're probably LEDs, I would guess.
Be more
Less
efficient.
electric use. The nice feature is, I don't know if, for those of you that go to any softball, baseball, a lot of these parks now they'll put a QR code up on the fence and then a fan will scan it and then they'll actually do the scoring for the game. So these would include that feature, so, it's kind of a nice little added bonus, so you get
Team would
a little
always win
participation.
if
Yeah, so, and then we would keep that in there if Park and Rec's okay with that, and then at some point it would come back to, if you guys are fine with it being in the budget, then we'd look to have it as a project in 2026. So, like I said, we're putting the cart in front of the horse a little bit, but I feel like it'd be a good addition out there. It would enhance the experience out there for the baseball and the softball when they use those diamonds out there. And then if it is approved by council, then we would add it in with a 15-year lifespan for the future after, when they need to be replaced the next time, so. I think I hit most of the high notes there.
Don't worry, Phil, we'll wait.
We'll wait for you.
Like, where was the, good, or something,
Are you gonna do VCC?
Nope, I'm gonna talk about, 2
Perfect.
things on here. So just 2 things on the Park and Rec. On the Edgewood Trail, that we've got on there, the MSAS is going to cover that. We had originally, for the last several years, we had like $285,000 from Parks CIP on that spend. By putting that in with the street project, we would look to leverage those MSAS dollars And by doing so, that's why we moved that dollar out as a separate funding source from that bucket. And we were able to look at the opportunity to put some equipment over on the East Side Park. So that's what the genesis for that was. And I believe Lori also added the new proposed trail on 23 from Edgewood to 103rd. Is that the? Okay. The 654. It's the 654 on there, but on the back side of the second page, you'll see another funding source. That's the grant that's funding that. But it should live here. So it'll live here and run through here, so the replacement will be here. But on the second page, you'll see the separate funding sources, the MSAS funds and the active transportation grant funds. So I just wanted to call those out so you guys are aware of those. And that was everything, unless you have any questions. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to BCC then. Mr. Knudsen.
This one should be pretty straightforward, similar to the PD CIP. Pretty easy, not a lot of moving parts here. So obviously I say that tongue in cheek because the building's 31 years old and we got a lot of work to do over there. So the building, the bones are in good shape, but what we've done with Troy in the maintenance side of it is to really, over the last year, just pull that thing back and say, what do we really need to do? Put away the duct tape, and we really need to look at some overall updates on this facility. So, working with staff and some of the pool specialists and things like that, we'll just kind of run through that. Before we get started, you'll see that there's an addition in 2025. Originally, we had the full roof of the facility programmed in 2027. And it's a really large number. We got 3 quotes on that, with the low 2 averages being right around $500,000. Real quotes in 2025 dollars. What we looked at with that, they did a very comprehensive study of all of the roofs. We broke them down into 6 different sections and identified the roofs. And through that, they made some recommendations that are necessary improvements to extend the life of that roof and get us out there into 2029, 2030. Which 2 different companies felt very comfortable doing that. They didn't think that we were putting ourselves at jeopardy for water penetrations and creating other problems within the facility. But by doing that, we're under budget on our HVAC system this year. We budgeted 270. We're coming in about 207, 210, roughly. It'll wrap up. So I would propose, and it'll come back maybe the first meeting for sure in August, that we would like to do the roof improvements this year so we can extend that out. And then we'd break that number down and put it out over several years so we could get to some other more pressing issues early on next year, and then extend that out. Again, just kind of make it more palatable so we can cover a little bit more ground at the facility. So doing that, it's not gonna make any of our budgets wonky. It's just, we're adding to a year that we already approved the CIP, but the overall fund spend is not going to exceed what you guys approved this time last year going into it. So if that, don't want to make assumption, if that goes through, we can extend that roof out over 27, 28, and 29. And we feel comfortable doing that, but that frees up some opportunity for this year. So when we go into the pool itself, the first line item is the $65,000 for a replacement water feature. The mushroom's original to the building, and it's tired. Some of the pumps have issues, and looking to put a different feature in there, modernize that feature, and kind of give it a little bit of a facelift. The pool itself, again, the facility's 31 years old, so the pool itself, we'd have to drain the pool down and give the pool a full resurface, the interior of the pool. Every couple of years you go through, you clean it up, you patch it up, you paint some of it, but it's time for us to really go through in depth and give it a nice overhaul. I think it's time, as do our pool experts. So we're proposing that. And then also with that, we're looking at a pool deck replacement. Currently, if you're out there, you'll see a lot of rubber mats that get you from different points of the pool over to the sauna area, the locker rooms, the spa. They're tripping hazards. They're not very cleanly, health-wise. They get a little slimy, no matter how often we clean them, you know, it just comes back, they're tracked on. So what we've looked at, we've researched actually a rubberized pool deck covering that would cover the whole, you know, from wall to edge of pool, and it avoids the slip, trips, and falls from a safety standpoint. You know, you kids, even though you don't know running, you know, come around a corner and slip and skid and scuff their knee. And we have, you know, incident reports, not weekly, but we have quite a few. So this would kind of cover a lot of those things, but we'd break that down. We'd do a portion, we're planning to do or recommend that we would do a portion of it that would get us from the steps where the vending machines are at, once you hit the pool surface there, towards the conference rooms. You'd go down past the workout room, the shared family locker room hallway, in front of the sauna, the spa, and over to the water slide is what this number is. It's a hard number plus a contingency number in there. It would kind of revitalize the pool as well, but it would also give us, from a liability standpoint, it puts us in a better position, kind of modernizes the area as well.
ADA compliant,
Yes, yeah, because it's a thin surface, so it's not,
not
it's.
squishy.
Yeah, Troy has looked at, he's talked with a few other places that have had this in place for almost 30 years, and it hasn't faded with any of the use. It's not deteriorated with that. I've not seen it, but he's getting me some numbers. I want to look at it as well, so we can go check it out and see where everything's going. So what you see in these, a lot of newer splash pads have this as a requirement. Some cities, you know, require, so again, the kids don't slip and fall. It's not abrasive like some of the concrete is. So it could be something we would entertain there in future years as well, to coat our splash pad with it. So.
Yeah, it was kind of be my same question was, does it come in sections? So if you get a section that gets really worn or hacked, you could just replace a section, not have to do the whole thing? Or?
It's almost like the top coat of the pour and play for the play equipment. You know, so you can do that and recover it. You may have some shading issues, but inside it's less likely you'd have shading issues, because if we did it in sections, that was the big thing. Can we blend to it and not see it? And they assured us that would be, again, trust but verify, right? Our financial team has taught us that. So we're going to go check that out, but that is what we'd be recommending here. Again, I'm a bigger fan of breaking some stuff down to make the financial, you know, we get a little bit of an impact, but we also can spread those costs out and kind of show them that we're working through all of this stuff. And again, we've got a lot of members, there's a lot of use over there. So it's a great facility, but when you get to that age, it gets tired, so we've got to come through and do some refreshes on it. So, and while we're doing it, we thought we should maybe put some modernization into it as well.
I agree.
So. Kind of going down the list there, we look at the sand filters in the pool and the spa, and some pool mechanical upgrades. Basically what those are, some of the valve controls and some of the pumps that are in there. They're not specifically specified. We just put a dollar number in there. Some of the stuff that's there. We've got a couple of valves that when you're nervous to shut a valve off because you could lose it and you have to shut your main down and lose water, it's not a good place to be. So we want to eliminate and update some of those things. They're original to the building, so we'd just like to be in a better spot to make sure you got circulating pumps when you're working off your boiler and making sure that it works efficiently in the way it was intended to work. So the other thing, if you look down the next line item, $14,000, the pool suction grates. Those have a 20-year life on them. I believe it's Abby's Law is what they were created for, the suction release. I don't know the full technical detail for it.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so what we've done, because we're proposing to do the full resurfacing of the pool, we don't want to take those out and put those back in. So we're gonna pull them forward just 2 years off their 20-year life expectancy to put new ones in there and just get the whole thing a refresh. We'll leave the spa ones where they're at their full 20-year, because they're functioning. But we'll just pull that upgrade in. That would be our recommendation, to do it that way. The rest of the stuff that we come through, the sauna, and I didn't learn this before, but man, that sauna gets a lot of use, and if it's not online working, we get a lot of calls on that.
A lot of teenage boys that are not happy.
It's very interesting.
Or
There's
like
a lot of
80
older
over
folks over there too, at all hours of the day. It's just amazing. So what we've done is we've just put this thing in here and just said, we're gonna purposely go through and refurbish this thing on a 10-year lifespan and just say, the environment is just hard on that, and that air can't escape all the time. So if we've got to come through there and replace some of this stuff, we want to identify it. And sometimes we've maybe not done the best approach, we've done the cheapest approach. And so we just want to kind of go in there and let's reset the clock on a few of these things. And these features, like I said, they're very popular, not just with members, but people come in and use daily passes as well. The other thing on there, there's a structural, there's a lot of, red iron is holding that building up. It's painted green right now. It's not been done since, for years as far as the repainting on it and getting it done. Again, it's a toxic environment in there, when you just live in that chemical room all the time. So we would propose that we come through there and just repaint those columns. There's nothing wrong structurally with them, just cosmetically, again, go in there and clean it up. And then we could get, I think we put those in there at 15 years, yes. 15 years on that. And then the other thing that we're looking at, the gym area, we've got four exit doors that exit out of the gym out into the
Common area.
old venue, the old concrete wedding area or the reception area. You can go outside. Nobody uses them. We got some leak coming through those windows and stuff. What we would propose to do is pull up. We don't need those for egress. We would keep 2 of the 4 doors for egress. So we have secondary access or egress out of the gym in case there's an emergency or what have you. We'd carve out all of that concrete that's out there and just create 2 pathways to tie into the existing system over there. And work with Eastside Glass we'll run 2 scenarios on that, and the numbers would play out. But we would look to infill with either matching concrete block, the limestone that's there, or put in windows in there, because is the daylight needed, like pickleball players in the wintertime, they block that off because they don't want the glare or the sun coming in. So we're trying to look to say what's the best thing for us to do, look at the options. But again, it's that refreshing and modernizing that area, and it doesn't get used, and it's actually a water trap. The water comes down, kind of pools toward the building. So if we can get that away from that, this would accomplish those goals as well.
Well, it's gonna probably save an HVAC too. I mean, that's, you got windows versus walls.
Yeah, and I, again, when this thing was first built, I'm sure there was a purpose. It was used differently. There was probably more catering events going on, and there was more access in and out of there. I remember going to a couple of weddings there when the thing was first built, and they used the gymnasium for the dance and stuff like that. So it just doesn't serve that purpose anymore. So I think we should take the opportunity to clean it up. Like I said, the doors are fatigued, and some of the sills are broke on the glass, so they're fogging. So we would look to update that as well, and either match it the way it is, or look at the option of putting stone in there or the block in there to match it. So, it's a big number, but it's going to allow us to kind of play catch up and then try to push some things out. We did push the water slide replacement to 2029. That is a pretty close to real number. It's a big number, 350. The problem with the water slide is, if we put the exact same slide in place but new, we have to cut out the concrete, cut out the footings, and start over with brand new footings designed for the new specs of the water slide, even if it's the same look. So it's just what they require us to do. And the last time, if you remember, it was in process when I started with the city in 2019. It was one of the first things that I saw at a council meeting. It was approved for refurbishment. And they told us at that time, you can get 6 to 8 years out of this thing, and you're done. So it's still fine. It still passes inspection, but it's a real number that we need to keep on here. So you'll see a couple of big numbers, over the next 3 to 5 years in this overall CIP. But we're trying to be as resourceful as we can to break it down, but still make it manageable and not, lose some of the economy of scales as we do these projects. So, and with that, I can answer any questions should you have them.
Was it 2019 when we redid the water slide? Because I thought that was supposed to get like 10 to 15.
No, when I believe it was 8 on the high side. When I was, I can pull back and look at it.
It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's a toxic environment.
It is. I mean,
Sounds so lovely. Welcome to the toxic.
No, I mean.
It's ventilated, I mean,
Chemicals,
Well,
with the
right,
chemicals and
chemical-
everything.
it just, and it's way better than what it used to be, you know, and it's really cleaned up in there, but it's still, it's the nature of a pool, right? I mean, you're dealing with the chemicals and it's the nature of the beast, so you've gotta deal with it, but,
Yeah, it was worse when we didn't have the UV. That was,
yeah,
we knocked down the chemicals a
yeah,
ton.
exactly. So, Troy's done a good job of coming in there and really identifying stuff and cleaning stuff up, and again, I think we're trying to be aggressive to, let's do things right, but also cost effectively, you know, make sure we're quoting things out, you know, 2, 3, 4 ways if we can, and to get reputable, sources in there, so.
So just looking at our number, can you scroll this, down, because I'm having a really hard time reading this, sheet here.
Yeah, I could have done it, I think.
Hey, Tony had to
But
help
if it's a
me.
Mac, you gotta go the other way, just
I
remember.
I was looking for the mouse.
Okay,
you,
so
Mike.
I just wanna see that okay,
Crack
so,
myself up sometimes, Becky, sorry.
alright, so the CIP account still does stay positive even with, this is a pretty big spend year here, but that, it still does stay positive, I guess that's what I wanted more to look at there, so.
Yep, the spending profile, that they put together, yes, that's where we work in conjunction all the time to make sure that we try to keep it as balanced as we can, but like I said, we knew this year going into it, we were gonna have some issues for 2026, so.
Okay. Else?
Okay, thank you.
All right, I will just touch on the admin CIP briefly. For 2025, we have some projects in there that are moving forward. Right now, Rob is researching the phone system, so we're kind of taking a look at what that might look like, if there's equipment that's necessary for kind of trading some of that stuff out. If we look at the next one, the codification project for this year, that is moving forward. So Shannon is heading that one up. We have a housing feasibility study that is scheduled for this year, and I think Jacob is leading that one up. And that is one where we might have a little flexibility in the spend because we have some grant dollars left that we have approval to use for that if we haven't spent them on some of that just transition grants that came into EDA. They've approved we can use the remaining funds to pay for the housing feasibility study, or, yeah. Subdivision coding work is finished up, so that should be coming in yet this year. And then the scanner plotter, now that the building is done, we can look at getting that piece of equipment replaced this year. And then, as you noticed when you pulled in today, this front and back parking lot stuff has started. So we will have an update here on those numbers. Don't know that we're gonna spend this entire amount that we have. The bids for the concrete work came in a little lower, so we'll rationalize that as we get through the rest of the year. For 2026, the item that's in there for CIP for admin is the compensation study. So we did that several years ago, and it is due up to be done again in '26. So we're out there getting some quotes. The dollar amount that we have in here is the same as what we had before, and that it appears that that number will be adequate. So we'll have a couple of options to look for, and we'll bring that forward when that's ready. Otherwise, there's not a lot of other changes on the admin CIP from what you've seen before. So I will just open up for questions if you have any.
I feel like we just did the comp study like yesterday.
It feels like it was just.
Jeff O'Neill was here when we did that.
That's wild.
How often do we do that?
Every 5, I thought.
5, yeah.
Yeah.
That must have just been when I started.
Okay. All right, and then Mark will talk about IT.
Yeah, nothing too big to highlight here. This is our 25 was our first year with the IT capital, so Rob's been churning through that. It's been a good year, had a lot of replacements of different devices. 26 will be a big year with the laptops and the desktops. That was a lot of the CARES funding replaced all those in that 1 year, so Rob will take a look at that if we can, kind of allocate those out. We might do them all in 26, but he might do a good portion in 26, maybe some will flow into 27, but backup support for this, we have a pretty comprehensive spreadsheet, or a comprehensive spreadsheet that identifies all the different laptops and
Can we say
desktops and-
laptops on here? 'Cause
What's
can
that?
we say- Can we say laptops, desktops? Because if we say one, we got one laptop, $21,000. It's like, it's a heck of a game.
All right, Rick. Network switches. I like that. Firewalls, yeah, cameras. So, Rob's done a great job, even with the facility expansion and everything, that we've continued to update these spreadsheets and get those assets on the list as well. So $41,000 spend plan for 26. Currently have the 51,000, little less than the total. You see the average of around 59,000. That's really as you get further out there. So we feel comfortable with the 51,000 for now. It gives us some adequate reserves. The one change you'll see for 26, proposing beginning a transfer in from golf. There is a lot of hardware infrastructure over there. So starting off with a similar, they are funded through some of the fees as well. So just starting off with the transfer from golf, and then water and sewer with some of those rates coming in to fund their portions of the IT assets. So.
What is our laptop and desktop policy? How many years do we retain them before we replace them?
Off the top of my head, I think it's 5.
No, it's 5.
I think it's 5.
So at the end of this year, Windows 10 is going away, and I know there's a lot of machines there. Windows 10, is that part of why we would have to replace a lot of these then? Is that, because I know a lot of organizations are getting hit with that, because Windows 10 goes out of support this year, so
I think
normally you could just replace them, but.
We really had a few. I mean, we've transitioned to Windows 11 on most of the devices. But really just all of these are at their useful life. They're at that 5 years. So that's where, could we extend some? Absolutely, and maybe allocate those out so we don't have such a big year. That was part of the discussion with Rob of, putting them on the list. And we had a couple that had bounced up where they had planned on that additional year and had some issues with them and just out of maintenance. So had to move some of those up, but it's a good question. Rob's on vacation. I would have had him here.
Yeah, that might be something to maybe talk about, if instead of doing them all as a group, because then if some will last longer than others, and then you can kind of like we do with
Some get
streets where you
used
can
more
shift
than
them.
others.
Yeah, get used more. And
Yep.
You'll see a lot of organizations do that where they say every year, or like the police cars, we do one a year, just so we're not buying 5 squad cars or 4 squad cars every 4 years or whatever. We just one a year, or just a group a year.
Yep, get that, them groups a little bit smaller, where that was just such a large batch, needed to use those funds, so. I think you're referring to power users such as Phil, really keystrokes.
Aggressive type.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. It's costing us money again.
Nope, that's good, but otherwise, the IT capital, fund has definitely gives us some flexibility and allows us to really adapt and respond to the needs of our users, and what they need to perform their job at a effective level, so. All right, with that, I'll turn it back over to Lori.
Oh, one other question. So source of funding, so we got when golf and water and sewer, so when we do work over there, Wouldn't that be more like operations type, like that's for Rob's time over there, right? When we talk about the source of funding there and
Oh,
we
he's
have
talking
the,
about equipment.
These are just these are transfers in to provide, so we have all the assets listed and what their function is, and then we have kind of a total annual. So this is just an annual to cover their portion of their hardware kind of asset needs. So does not include Rob's time.
this is just, oh, for shared hardware assets?
Yep.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
all right.
Yep. And we have all the maintenance piece identified, and that's a discussion as well as we start breaking some of those costs apart, as well, that would follow. But definitely a additional discussion as we look at the operation side.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, that's all, we have tonight for capital, so the two that are left are, Pebble Creek and Streets, so we'll look at those in August. Those, need to mature a little bit before they come forward, so, that's all I have for capital tonight. Unless you have any other questions, we'll move on. You have other things on the agenda?
Not gonna talk about the railroad spur one next, huh?
Well, we could, it doesn't have any, we could certainly look at it if you're excited to know about that one.
No.
They're adequately funded.
Okay.
We're not doing a levy for railroad spur, that's
I
why it
haven't
didn't
heard
come
that in a
forward.
while. Railroad. We talked about that in a long time before.
Alrighty,
All right, thank you.
thank you. All right, traffic speed protocol.
Did you want to use this?
No more props tonight. I could use this one for what
Ed, I've already heard this.
Wow. Becky's done hearing me talk. So in the packet tonight, we put out, Greg and I have been talking about this. We've had a few residents that have reached out about, speeds in their neighborhood or controlled access points or intersections. And so as we've talked through that, we were like, well, what's the protocol? Somebody says something, we just go do it? Do we study it? What do we do? Greg had pulled, the one that you see in your packet tonight was from a study I believe Shorewood did or used. And talking with SEH and with Randy, one of the concerns on that's very in-depth. And what we don't want to do is kind of box us in as a city to say, if you fit these criteria, then you're going to do traffic studies, you're going to, do engineer design standards and stuff like that. So tonight, what we were, as we massaged it through, Randy he worked with two of their traffic engineers, and they were a little bit surprised a community of our size would want something like that because of getting backed into a corner. But what I told them, I said, if we could find what we have now is nothing, and we just react to a citizen calling, and say, could we find maybe a happy medium that says, it starts with staff, and we do these 3, 4, 5 things with a resident or a question or a concern. What we don't want to do is to say, oh, Bill over on 5th Street called again, and we just say no to Bill. We don't want to do that. But we don't want to drop everything when somebody else calls too. So what I would be proposing and want to kind of get your feedback on is, I don't think we would get to the level of the document that's in front of you, but Randy and I just had a conversation about 3:30 today, following up on this. What I would like to see is that we do something that says, okay, as staff, if a call comes in, we do these things. If those boxes get checked, likely we would work through Public Works Committee to say, here's where we're at. Does it trigger or warrant to go to council for a full in-depth study or what have you? So you've got a place to turn it back to staff to work with residents, and then if it hits certain levels, then we can take it up there and work with it. Obviously we would involve our engineers are on top of it, make sure that our PD is on it as well. So we really find out, is it truly an issue? Is it an enforcement issue? Is it a road issue? What are we dealing with? And so just want to kind of get your feel for that. That would be the direction that I would like to take it. Are you guys comfortable with that? And we can work with these few one-offs that we've got right now. 4-way intersection on one of the school has a request. 4-way stop at Bradley and 3rd Street. Well, we already have one at Brenda and 3rd Street. What's the criteria to doing that? Do we want to do that? We understand Bradley's a collector street off of Highway 10. It gets us all the way over to 23. we should probably put some merit to looking at that with, especially when school's in session and all of the activities and traffic that runs around there. So just things like that we're trying to go, but what I don't wanna do, like I said, is I don't wanna commit us over the top to, all of a sudden, we're gonna have to spend thousands of dollars, or because you've done this, you have to go this pathway. But I think we can come up with something, and Randy's very confident we can get there too, to say, oh, perfect, this call comes in, it's routed here, we do these things, sometimes we're gonna solve it right there. It may be where Chief and I go out and knock on the person's door and walk them through it and do that. Maybe it's setting the radar sign out there so they can see what the actual speed control is or something like that before it would get to official action or something that would get to council to make a determination. So are thoughts on that, or you're comfortable with that, or would you like to see something different or something to the level that I put in your packet?
Just some kind of policy, I think makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Because we have, how many requests currently,
4.
Or, yeah.
and,
Two for speed and 2 for stop signs.
and they're already a 30-mile-an-hour speed zone. I don't,
Yep.
you
Yep. And the 2 of the stop signs, I think traffic counts will warrant, and that's all we want to do is be able to, go out there. We've got, Public Works, we purchased very good traffic counters. We can put them out there, we can show what's going on. The speed control sign also, Chris gets a lot of data off of that we can show folks, here's what's happening, here's what the speeds are, here's what we're seeing. And most of the residents that we talk to, we just did one on 107th by the golf course. They're going 100 miles an hour, they're going 60 miles an hour, actually the fastest person went, I think there was one that went 50 miles an hour, then 41 miles an hour, and everybody else fell in.
55-mile-an-hour speed zone.
And everybody fell in that 30-some mile an hour speed, so there wasn't an issue out there, so it quickly went away because you had the data to share. So that's, I think, what we're trying to get to, is to say, I don't want to put any staff in a spot where we're not being consistent with any of our residents. So when something comes in, we know how to respond, here's our tools, here's what we do. If it raises a level, we bring it to you folks. If not, we can take care of it with the resident.
I like that.
Okay, so if you're comfortable with that, I'll move forward. We'll probably bring it back to Public Works. I don't know if we'll have it for August, for sure, September, and we can review it there and then bring it back at another work session.
And then
Perfect.
if we go through this, they can contact you if any suggestions. they
Yes,
have.
absolutely. Yeah, and we're just trying to garner what other communities are doing as well, and somebody of our size, what we've got. We got a little bit more expanse, we got a little bit bigger, area, more freedom, so we want to be listening to our residents as well, but not make it overly restrictive, so.
Yeah, I mean, we don't wanna, I think you're right, we don't want it, this is too much. That's, cause we don't wanna put ourselves into that corner again, cause some of it might even be more political, say for instance, Highway 10. I mean, some people would say, I want Highway 10 down to, not that we control it, but I want Highway 10 down to 30 miles an hour. Some might be like, I like it at 60 or 65 or 70, I mean, that's,
Or access points,
yeah.
So, yeah, I think we can get something that's there, that represents the intent of what you guys want to see, and it gives tools to staff that we can take care of it, so we can try and keep it away from you guys, so we can actually give them data and facts and solve their issues before it comes to you.
Well, and if it did come to us, it would be nice to have, that those
100%.
traffic, that's gonna be
Yep.
hopefully the first thing we want to
Exactly.
see anyway, so it's not just, well, I like Bill. you
Right,
know.
exactly. So if it does get to you guys, it's coming with some data and some backup.
Right.
Comments and stuff like that. So that would be the intent behind it. If you're comfortable with that, which it sounds like you are, we'll start working on it, get it to Public Works, bring it back to exec session, and kind of land someplace where we feel comfortable. Okay, thank you.
The last item tonight is the meeting minutes. For a number of years, the minutes have always been approved at the beginning of the meeting as a separate item. And I'm not aware of any other city that does that. The majority of the time, they are included under the consent agenda. And not sure the reason why they were there, but I did check with Lee because I knew it would probably be a concern here, because when you're not at a meeting, you recuse yourself from voting. That is a non-issue. The league said you can vote for minutes that at meetings you are not at. So before we moved them into the consent agenda, I just wanted to mention that in case there were questions. We just don't want to spring it on you. So starting with the next meeting, we will move the approval of the previous meeting minutes in under the consent agenda and be included with that motion. So is there any questions?
No questions, but it's been that way for a long time.
Yep.
When I
So
was
if Mike
mayor.
says I'm gonna approve the minutes before it was even asked next meeting, just ignore him.
Yeah, I like the idea myself.
Yep.
All right.
Is there anything else while we're doing? I mean, wasn't there, can't do the agenda obviously, but is there anything else that would make sense to move into there?
I don't think so. It was just, that was sticking out.
Okay.
Payment of the bills has to be separate?
Nope, you could do those under consent too if you wanted.
Yeah, cause you can take something out of the
Sure,
consent agenda.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you like us to do that as well?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay. And certainly you can ask questions too without moving things out. You can certainly ask
we
questions.
still would get the
Yeah, the bills.
the copy.
Oh,
of it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep,
See it also if there's questions.
perfect. Okay, we'll do that as well.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Staff, anybody, anything for roundtable? Alright,
I was just gonna bring up, I see, did you put the e-bike thing on? Which is great, but yeah, I have a lot, I mean, that is top, you know what I mean, a lot of questions about it. Are we going to visit any type, because I know it was brought up just a little bit here at one time. As far as, are we going to have any type of ordinance? Because it's becoming ridiculous, like on the golf course now even.
Yeah, I think that's probably the direction we're going.
Okay.
Internally, we've had some discussions recently. It's been a very hot topic.
Oh, yeah.
For the last month especially. We've received so many
We're getting
complaints.
faster and faster.
So that was, so today's kind of social media push was kind of step one. Hey, everybody needs to know what the rules
Absolutely.
are, because I think there's a lot of people who just assume, you know, I think the kids in the 15 is a big kicker. And so parents are spending a lot of money in buying these e-bikes and their kids aren't actually legally allowed to drive them.
Yeah.
So I think step one was get some of that information out. I know that
Which was great.
the superintendent had shared an email with some concerns as well about e-bikes and some of the student things, so they've kind of been pushing some of that data, that information out as well, kind of in collaboration. And then internally, I think, looking at some type of ordinances, it would likely basically just follow along with state statute. State statute has really good set rules. It would allow us to kind of have an ordinance that falls along with that where, you know, it wouldn't necessarily be, we'd have to give somebody a state citation for a violation. We could handle it a little more internally. Additionally, well, and additionally, you can, with ordinances, we've discussed other things too, speed limits, on sidewalks and, some require helmets, for instance, for 15 to, 18-year-olds, saying you need to have it on it. So there's some areas there too where we can kind of just improve the safety. So yes, it is being worked on right now. I'm in the process of drafting some language for some ordinance, additions, and we'll kind of step through that as we go, but it's been
Do
a hot topic.
electric or motorized scooters fall under any of that, or are they two different things?
Yeah, so they do. So they don't fall under the e-bike statute, but your electric, kind of interesting. So this is kind of where that we get that delicate balance of what do we go and proactively enforce, right? Your electric foot scooters are technically not even allowed on sidewalks.
Really?
Yeah, so, but we don't have an issue, right? We don't have we're not having a lot of complaints or issues with speed like you would do with the e-bikes. But like, that's where kind of that nugget of, hey, technically speaking, the little, electric foot scooters aren't allowed.
Where can they drive them?
In their driveway?
Their personal property, yeah. So, and that's the same with any, you know, you get an e-bike and they're under 15, that you can ride it on your personal property. And depending on what size e-bike you have, it becomes what we call an off-highway vehicle, which isn't registered to be, or allowed to be on any public property. And so,
So, yeah, is it a situation where, you know, because that was another question, if it got called in, I'm like, do they even get a citation or anything? Or basically, they're gonna get talked to.
yes, so that's, right now,
There's no really,
yep, right now, there's state,
yeah,
like, it's a state statute. One of our officers could observe a 14-year-old riding his e-bike and issue them a state ticket, which
oh, okay.
which starts at like $120 with all the law library fees. So you can see why we're kind of the approach is, let's get the information out right now, we'll work on some ordinance language and things like that. Get the information to people so that they can make decisions on telling their kids or, you know, purchasing these things. And then we'll move forward with trying to find the best way to, I think, navigate that. You know, it's a great, technology is great, and it gives, I love seeing people out and using our park systems and our trails that maybe wouldn't go bike and they like it because they don't have to. But at the same time, you always have those groups that pose a problem, and our number of complaints for e-bikes has skyrocketed.
Oh, I'm sure.
The last probably 2 or 3 months, it's been a lot, so
There's
we
a lot
are,
of them out there.
yep,
And
and
we
we've
have
been,
the ones that wanna be on the road, but they don't wanna follow the road lot, like they don't stop at stop signs and like.
no, yep. So, and that's been some of the discussion too internally as well, is like, what else can we do to kind of curb some of that? So some of the discussion talks about, more pedestrian stop signs, right? So it gives us as the police department, you know, some ability to make those contacts, to educate, hopefully reduces some of those speeds. I mean, we've had people on these bikes passing cars.
I was gonna say they're passing. like
Yep,
30
on the
mile an hour,
sidewalk,
yeah.
cause they're adjustable. You know, it's one of those things where the bike company
off.
sells them with a limit to meet federal requirements. But if you push these two buttons at the same time, it overrides, and that's what everybody's doing.
Oh,
and-
absolutely.
Who would ever do that?
I know, yeah.
All the
I'm
dads.
sure when I was a kid, I would look to do the same thing, but yeah, so that is where we're at. It's big topic, and we are actively working on it on several different avenues. Chris has brought up some stuff with Public Works side too, just to kind of talk about the trail system and how we can navigate that as well.
I like the general, like if you say the speed limit approach, because then it's not a technology specific thing, because then you're not always chasing going, okay, well, it's not an e-bike, it's an e-quad or, you know, something that's different, and now all of a sudden it doesn't apply anymore. At the end of the day, I mean, it's the speed differential when you're talking about the trails, that's probably the biggest, you know, whether it's whatever kind of vehicle it is, you got somebody that's walking, you got somebody that's going so fast they can't react.
Yep.
I mean, that's at the end of the day really
Yeah.
what it is, so I almost
15
like
on a
that
pedal bike
agnostic.
and 15 on an e-bike's still gonna cause some damage if you're moving any faster than that,
Yep.
so.
So,
So yeah, we are looking into it. That's a couple of avenues we've been looking at, and very active.
Great job on the post. I think it got a lot of people talking and.
Yeah, I thought it went over pretty well. I wasn't sure. It's tough, cause yeah,
Yeah.
pushback, you know, like I said, the hard part is for parents, like, I get it, you spent a lot of money on
Right.
something for your 12-year-old to ride, and now we're kinda like, hey, just so you know,
Just, what
but
happened to a Huffy?
pedals, who would've thought, right?
yeah.
So, any other questions about that? Otherwise, I'll keep you guys up to date on kinda next steps as we go, but it is actively getting worked on right now.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Anybody else for?
Nope.
Alrighty, 6:41, let's call it a night.
A night.
Tonight.